building a stronger club. So he is armed and dangerous and ready to go.
Right.
So.
And I'm also hot. I'm going to have to get rid of this. This is my old flying thing. I've used this, obviously. I bought this at some store someplace downtown for a party. But anyway, this is something I always wanted to do, fly an open cockpit airplane, but didn't ever happen. But this thing is really warm. So I'm going to get rid of that. All right. Oh, and my scarf. Oh. There we go. Okay, so we're on Building a Stronger Club, page 25 of your book. And what do you suppose we mean by that? What is a stronger club? How can we build a stronger club? What are we talking about here? Anybody have a clue? What do we mean by stronger club? How do we do that? Do we go lift weights or what?
Yeah, exercise.
There we go. Well, everybody will be out exercising. Everybody fall out. Yeah, we go. So, all right.
More active.
An idea? How can we be a stronger club?
More active in our community.
Go ahead, Donna.
More active in our community.
That might help, but it's not quite what I'm looking for.
I'm thinking keep and gain new members.
Numbers, I like that. And who said that? Because I couldn't pick it up quick enough.
Laura.
Oh, Laura. Hi, Laura. Strength in numbers. And when you're talking about numbers, we're talking about what? Membership. Okay. I don't know if you guys realize it, but Rotary Leadership Institute is organized in three, we used to refer to this a lot. We don't do it anymore, but I liked it. And so I kept it. And so the RLI is set up in three spirals, as we call them. In other words, three different areas of focus that we like to talk about. One is leadership, okay, and you're pretty sure which types of training you have with leadership. Public image, for example, falls under leadership, and certainly Jeff's presentation on strategic planning falls under leadership. Then after that. We talked about the Rotary Foundation, and with Doreen, and that falls under service. Okay, that's the service spiral. We talked about public relations. That's leadership. So we haven't talked about yet. What we haven't talked about is the third spiral, and that's membership, and that's what our section here on building a stronger club is. A club gets strength through its members. Okay, not only keeping the members you got, but attracting new members and growing. Growth is very important in there. So building a stronger club, we're talking about membership. So Jeff, if you would mind, would you please bring up page 25, and we'll go through that real quick. Okay, building a stronger club. We'll start right under the title. It says, as I further my Rotary journey, I can assist in delivering on Rotary's promise. And we're going to talk about what Rotary's promise here in just a minute. The session goals are to examine the various expectations that members have of their Rotary clubs. We'll talk about the consequences of met or unmet expectations, and we'll talk again at the end, tour about what can we do to assist in delivering on Rotary's promise. Okay, so when we also have materials here that are available to us on the following pages. We've got the guiding principles of Rotary. We'll talk about that. We're mostly interested in the avenues of service. So those are included in here. We have an exercise that we're going to do the exercise, but not in the way it's designed. We're just going to have you give feedback on your just from individuals rather than have you doing a separate exercise. And finally, there's a section on what we call Be a Vibrant Club. And notice there's a triangle, and the key says that the triangle says that there's an insert with the Be a Vibrant Club. However, there is not an insert. not at least in this particular lesson. It is in part 2, lesson 1. And when we talk about that, but I think, Jeff, if you wouldn't mind, can we go ahead and bring that up real quick? Because I really don't have a lot to say about it. Okay, this is the, start your own club on a path to vibrancy. I have a copy of it here. And the things, the areas, if you could scroll down a little bit there, Jeff, I would appreciate it. If we go down to areas 7 and 8, I've numbered, where it says develop strong relationships within your club. That's how to introduce and orient new members to Rotary. That's important when it comes to membership. Then next to that, it says make sure all members are involved in activities that genuinely interest them. That's expectations. That's, and so that's what the focus of this particular lesson is on, is what do your new members expect when they come, and are those expectations made? Not only new members, but existing members, and not only members of your club, but members in the community that work with your club. What do they expect? And are those expectations made? So this is all wrapped around this idea of building a stronger club. Okay, thank you, Jeff. We can go back to the first page. All right, so our first question then is, what is meant by Rotary's promise? Anybody got an idea? What do you think Rotary's promise is? And I'll give you a hint. It has nothing to do with planned giving in this particular sense, okay? But think in terms of membership. What is the promise? And of course, it's different for every member. But what are we doing with, what do we mean by the Rotary's promise? Anybody want to take a guess at that? Think about when you were a new member and somebody was recruiting you.
It's the promise of what we will get from being a Rotarian.
Oh, very good, Laura. Thank you. Okay, what we'll get, and can you expound on that a little bit more? When you say what we'll get, what are we talking?
The what's in it for me, what's going to make me feel personally full because I've been able to do something through Rotary. So whatever really ignites my engine and makes me want to give back to the world, the community, that's how Rotary is going to help me fulfill that need.
Very good. That's excellent. And now the question may come, so building a stronger club is built on expectations. Why is it important then? And it is very important, and Rotary thinks it's very important. Why it is important that we build a stronger club, which means we attract new members and we keep the members we have. So why is that important?
Because we need to stay relevant and keep functioning in the long term. And eventually all of our current members will no longer be members, but you still want the purpose of the club to continue. Yeah,
we want the purpose. We want the club to continue and be, we want it to go on in the future. The only way that's going to happen is if we keep bringing new people in, because what's going to happen if we don't?
Gone.
Yeah, eventually we'll disappear. What's the average age of Rotarian? Anybody know?
Probably over 50.
Oh, yeah, even higher than that. I think we hit
over 65.
Yeah, it's not quite that high,
Okay.
but it's up there. It's up there. I believe the last time I checked, the average age, your average Rotarian, age 60. And it's been going up like a half a year for the last 10, 20 years. Okay. So we're getting older. That's one of the reasons why we're very closely looking at Rotaract and bringing Rotaract on board, making them Rotarians. We need to get a little bit more youth into our clubs, or else eventually we're just going to disappear. Okay? If we keep on getting old, eventually we're going to get above 70 and then 80 and then we're gone. Okay.
One of the biggest reasons that we need to grow our community of Rotarians is because we represent the community. And if you don't have the diversity for your club, of Rotarians and you're not recruiting more Rotarians, you're not representative of the community you serve. And
Yeah.
so it's so incredibly important to continue to represent as much as possible, to continue to represent the community that you serve, or you become irrelevant to the community.
Absolutely.
And-
Thank you, Deb. That's
And
excellent.
I think that's the most critical reason that we need to continue to grow,
Yeah.
the
So what this lesson is about, what it's built on, are expectations. Okay. And how well we meet those expectations. So here's the question I want you to ponder. Does your Rotary Club set expectations with its target audience? We'll talk about that in a minute. About membership in the club. And who's our target audience? We talked about this earlier with, I think, with Arturo. Who's our target audience? There's really two.
Members.
Internal and
Our
external.
existing members, right? That's part of it. And
Prospective members.
prospective members. Okay, those people in the community. That's where we talk to the community and we're trying to draw them in. Okay, very good. So, does your club set expectations with its target audience about membership? Anybody? Sonny, I see you, I see you
Yes.
nodding your head. Let me see if anybody
Yes.
else, and I'll come back to you real quick.
Okay.
Anybody else got us in? Does your,
Yes.
okay, Laura?
Oh,
We
Yes,
set expectations when we have for external, when we have our events and we tell them what the club does and how Rotary works in the world, those kinds of things. And we set expectations with our new members when they come in and go through SPUR training.
Okay, so now you're saying, you're telling your new members what to expect from the club then, correct? Does the club ask what the club expects from them?
Yes, that's part of SPUR.
Okay, okay.
Here's-
Yeah.
Nancy was going to say something as well.
Oh, okay, Nancy?
I was gonna say, also like now that I'm on the board, they've been putting like expectations as far as growing the membership. So one of the things is they put a target goal of how many new members this new year would be our goal, and sort of like how we're gonna bring that about. And so I know that they've been putting focus on that in the board, and then it's gonna trickle down to the membership and as a whole.
Okay. Do any of your clubs talk to your new members and prospective members about what they expect and what they're looking for? I see Steve shaking his head, not really. Okay. Kathy, what does your club do?
So, and I think other clubs do this as well. But before someone actually joins Rotary, we have a Rotary information meeting. And so we have a nice little booklet we give them and we talk about our club history. And then we talk about expectations that we expect you to participate. We expect you to support financially. And so this is what we expect of you. And if you can do those things, wonderful. We're so glad to have you on board. And if not, then maybe this is not the club for you. And occasionally we do have somebody that says, you know what, I just can't meet that expectation. So, which is a good thing, because then they're not withdrawing or leaving Rotary, in a few weeks or few months.
Understand. Okay, Governor Sonny, what would you like to add?
I would simply add that in the information meeting, which we call an orientation that precedes an induction, we also have a conversation about why they want to be in Rotary and what they hope to get out of it and what areas their passions lie, where they might want to get involved right away.
Yeah, I was going to say, we call it an interest survey to see where they want to fit and what they want to do.
Sure, because what you want to do, as my personal view is we lose a lot, and you've probably heard the statistic. Half of all the Rotarians that we recruit, when we bring on board, are gone within the first 3 years. Half. That's one of the reasons we're bringing in, we do a terrific job of finding people and bringing them into Rotary. We just can't keep them all. Half of them are gone within 3 years. And I mean, there's all kinds of reasons. And you know, you are familiar with it, I'm sure. You know, jobs change, you have life changes that you've got to move, you've got to do this. Sometimes people pass away. But a lot of times it's simply, it's as simple as the fact that they had expectations about what Rotary was going to be, and those expectations were not met. So that's what the purpose of this lesson is all about. So when we talk about expectations with our club, we sit down with our prospective members at lunch usually, and we ask them, what are you looking from us? You know, what are you interested in? What are you looking for in our Rotary Club? And then we do the same thing for them. This is what we expect of you. Okay. But it's important to know, because if we can't meet those expectations, we're not likely to keep those new members very long. And that's what Rotary is so worried about. And that's one of the reasons why, but not all, but one of the reasons why our 1.2 million has stayed 1.2 million Rotarians for the last 20 years. You know, because in many cases, we haven't met those expectations and those people have left. Now, expectations, do they differ? Do the expectations that let me make sure I have this correct. So you got your new members coming in. Does the expectations differ for current members versus prospective members? People you already have on board, do their expectations change once they're a Rotarian, do you think?
I think they certainly can.
Okay.
So I feel like I joined Rotary, but then I became a Rotarian. And when I became actively involved with the reading 4-way test essay contest materials, and then also cooking beans and rice and for one of the orphanages in Juarez.
Ah, okay. Yeah, the answer is yes. I think that it changes. I think expectations differ based on age of your Rotarians, the position they may have in the workforce, okay, which also, you know, or maybe they're retired. You know, what's the nice thing about having a retired Rotarian?
More time.
Say again, Kathy. What's the advantage?
Kathy said more
Sorry.
time.
I think it was Sunny, but I was agreeing with her. Yep.
Okay.
I was going to say the advantage of people who have just retired is that oftentimes people have not really planned what they're going to do with their retirement, and they're looking for something to fill that time.
Okay, very good. Yeah, the nice thing about, you know, I'm retired. Well, I will be shortly. I'm semi-retired. I retired from the Air Force 21 years ago, right around the time that I joined Rotary, and I work part-time. Working part-time is a really good deal. Still get some money, but I have plenty of free time, and I can call the shots as to when I work, because I'm an instructor, you know, and I can, you know, and I work for the Department of Energy. But I only work, sometimes I'll work all week for 2 weeks in a row, especially when we're doing things online. But I may go a month or two without any work at all. And the thing about that is I'm available. I can do stuff, and I want to do stuff. If I'm a young entrepreneur, 20 or 30 something, you know, we got my own business, am I going to be available every day or as nearly as often as we'd like? Probably not. Our club is a morning club. We're breakfast club. So, you know, we built that around the idea that, hey, come early. We start at 7 in the morning. We're done at 8. You can go to work. So, you know, with the idea that, you know, people didn't want to break away, go to lunch, come back, and then go back to work again. So we'll get it out of the way early. So there's things we can do. So even different, you might even have different constituencies in your club, with either within or with outside of the club. But the thing is that these expectations that our members have, those are things that we need to know about and things that we need to work on. If we're going to keep our new members, if we're going to keep our existing members, we need to know what their expectations are of us. That's the whole idea. So what type of specific or general expectations are set in your club for your new members? Okay.
Everybody's on 2 committees.
Oh, okay. Everybody's going to be on 2 committees. Very good. All right. And they get to pick the committee, right?
They get to pick 1 committee and everybody's on membership.
Everybody's on membership. I like that. Oh, that's cool. I like that. Okay. Anybody else? What are the expectations? Specific or general?
Attend meetings, pay dues.
Okay. If you get a new member, a young member, and by young these days, anybody under 40 compared to our average age of 60. Okay. So you get a young member and you want to know what their expectations are. What is it likely to have to be, especially if this is a young entrepreneur? What do you think their expectations are?
Flexibility.
Go ahead, Suzanne.
Flexibility.
Flexibility. Okay. I like that. Do you think they'd like to have the opportunity to be able to talk about their business? I see a lot of shaking of the heads. In the past, did we do that? No, I see Deb shaking her head. No, in the past, that was verboten. You could be fined, heavens forbid. You could be fined for that. Okay. Now things have changed. So what can we do? So does anybody have something that you do in your club for your new members so they can talk about their job?
One of the things that I've been suggesting is that we actually have once a month, we just have a business day where our lunchtime talk before we start is we get to talk about what we do. I mean, it's part of, we did talk about what we do, and that there's people that are at the table. Like my background is, I'll tell you what I do right now, right? And my background is I was in business. I was an entrepreneur, and there's young entrepreneurs, come sit at my table. I can help with some advice for you if you want some, but we can have like subject tables for people to get advice, a finance table, and we can help one another, because guess what? It costs a lot of money to have consultants. Let's sit down and help each other.
Absolutely. Even just, and I love the idea of inviting them to sit with you.
Yeah.
Because what happens in many cases when you have these little cliques in your room? Oh, nobody has cliques, right? People that always sit at the same table. But what happens when you get a brand new person that comes in and they start to sit down and say, oh, this is Ed's chair. Oh, no, that's not what we want. But what we want is we want them to feel comfortable, we want them to feel wanted. We want them to feel a part of the club. Go ahead, Laura.
I was going to say, one of the things that we set as an expectation for a new member is that they will get up, and it's called classification talk, but basically talk about what they do, how they do it. And then one of the other things that we've started this year, based on feedback, and I found it incredibly helpful because I'm coming up on my 5th anniversary with the club in October, and we have all the members at a meeting, especially right after we've had some new members inducted, do a little mini, this is who I am, this is what I do, this is what I have done kind of session. And the thing I thought that was so cool about it was that I'd been in the club for over 4 years when we started doing it last July, and I didn't know what some of the members had done, in their previous working lives.
Yeah,
it was really
absolutely.
cool.
Even just a 1-minute opportunity each lesson. I mean, each class, each meeting, to get a new member to get and talk about what they do. It goes a long way. The 5, all of our what are the 5 avenues of service? We've got what? Club service, right? Vocation, community service, international service, youth service. And, every one of these, can be a source of meeting a new member's or an existing member or a new member's expectations. I see we're already running out of time, but real quickly, club service focuses on making the club strong. A thriving club is anchored by strong relationships. But club service can be as simple as club service helps set up the meetings. So club service is, let's put a 1 minute, a 1 minute talk where our new members can do that. Okay, what I want to do is I want to think is if there is a disconnect, the key here is if there's a disconnect about what is promised by the club and what is actually delivered, we lose people. All right, so what I want you to do is I'm going to break you up into groups, and I'm going to give you about 10 minutes. And I want you to list, just as a group, come up with 3 activities that your club can realistically do to meet the expectations of, you pick the group. And the 2 that I'd like you to choose from are prospective members or existing members. There's other groups, but we're not going to talk about them. Pick a group and then come up with 3 activities that you could realistically do to meet the expectations of either new members coming in or existing members. Okay, everybody got that? Okay, Jeff, I'm ready for us to go and split up.
All right, and breakout room facilitators are Bruce and Dan and Kathy. Here we go.
Okay.
Good morning.
Morning.
Hello, everybody.
So
Governor, how are you doing?
I am doing great. I'm doing what a great crowd we have today, and it's an honor to be part of this.
Who would like to start with what we're doing? What kinds of things?
do we have to pick our group first?
Pardon me, Nancy?
Do we have to pick the group first? Whether we're focusing on, what did he say? Either we're focusing on,
Prospective or existing members.
yeah.
Shall we do prospective?
What are you comfortable with?
I, for one, had a very recent experience with my club in introducing a new member and not being quite sure about what to do next. And I was sort of thinking that if I introduce this prospective candidate to the membership committee, they would embrace her and run with it, That didn't happen. It was basically thrown back in my lap. And I'm not sure that the committee, I'm not sure that I agree entirely with that reaction.
So let's do prospective members, and then we can think of 3 activities that would maybe help that situation.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about, a prospective member. I'm not on mute. No, okay.
No. No, but I think that's a great, that we should focus on prospective members and our group topic, because I think that way we can think of 3 activities that could help your situation and everyone's situation, because I'm sure all of us have dealt with something similar.
Yeah, I think I don't know that we have an underlying, set of processes, and that's probably something as a new member of the board I might want to lobby for. But in the meantime, what are the 3 activities? What I did with this person, we happened to be on another board together, and I just, after the board meeting, went over and talked to her and kind of, introduced her to the concept of Rotary and invited her to attend one of our Zoom meetings. That got the ball rolling anyway.
I want to share one activity that we do in Rotary, especially, like, for example, in Rotary we have students that have different majors, different background. So I think one of the things that we do for it, very close the Rotaract is make a personality test, like what do you like, what is your hobby, what is your goal, and when we know all the information about that person, it's more easy to connect with another people that has the same goals as you. Because like sometimes when you someone asks you like, what do you like? Oh, what is your favorite animal? It's like, okay, my favorite animal is dog because this and this and this. And you can connect with another people that are looking for the same characteristics than you. And I think it's more easy to connect in that way. So it's one of the things that we do when we have like a new prospects. It's a way that to learn something about a new person. I don't know, it would be one of the activities.
Excellent.
Nancy, how about your club?
I'm sorry?
How about in your club, in prospective members?
Well, actually, I was thinking one of the things that would be nice, kind of like a follow-up that Steve was saying, is they started doing a monthly sip and coffee, I think is what they call it, in the mornings, where, because I think sometimes you need to be in a more informal basis to talk about the club and get to know each other more, where you can talk about maybe the personality test, or you talk about the different committees. And I know like they did something in our club called orientation, but I think we realized that some of the newer members didn't quite realize it was an orientation, is what we learned at the last board meeting. But sometimes just a more informal chat works, because you're going in to talk about coffee or just a lunch, just something like quick that you're just going in there, and you could just kind of put out like, this is what we do and this is how we start things. And so I really like that. Although I haven't gone because it's in the morning, but some, it does well. Some people do like that morning, and they've gotten some prospective members out of that, where they show up and they have coffee with the president, and they just sit there and they talk about the club and they get to know the club, on top of going to the Zoom meetings, of the weekly Zoom meetings. So I really do like having an informal activity in order to gain prospective members, because sometimes the formal Zoom meetings, I mean, it's formal. You have an agenda, you have things to do. So there's not a lot of flexibility to ask questions or to point things out as you're going along. So I do think it's important that they come to the formal meeting, but I do like a more informal setting to let them know like what we are about and what we expect from them. So I do like the coffee and chat. I do like how Rotaract has it, where they do a personality test, because it does also give you an ability to start conversations. And sometimes, that's what you need in order for them to feel comfortable as to what you have in your organization and why they should feel comfortable in coming to your organization.
One of the things that we're facing is this country is getting some kind of handle on the pandemic. And the Zoom may recede completely for some clubs, maybe remain hybrid for others. But the in-person contact, I think, is one of the biggest opportunities for Rotary to find new members. There's a club in El Paso who regularly, like each quarter, would have a social for prospective members, and members were all invited. And then the club would talk about who, are we a good match or not? And work from that point. That's their own form of personality test, Jessica. I think one is looking at the fit. Okay. Two, who in the club invites the new member? is there a process? Is it the mentor, the person who proposes, takes the entire lead? Is it the membership committee? Where does the responsibility lie? Governor Bob, do you have something to add to that?
I would also encourage you to invite prospective members to service projects that your club is doing. And that's another informal way that they can see what the club is doing and ask questions about what the club is doing. And that will, I think, help in them wanting to get more involved in that club.
Donna.
I think those are all good ideas. I'm still concerned about Steve's person.
Yes.
Just simply because of the outcome, Steve. I just feel bad for you.
Well, we haven't lost out. I basically have stepped up, and I just sent her an email about a half an hour ago, sending her the copy of the 4-way test and a link to our website. I guess right now I believe I have to be the driver, in recruiting her. Because I'm the one that found her initially, and think she would be a good addition to our club. I'm not sure that that's necessarily the best approach for the club, though.
Good for you.
Thank you.
Good for
Jeff,
you.
do you have anything to add?
No, I guess my personal experience is that it's kind of like, marketing and messaging, not everything is going to ultimately be a hit. So, so you kind of have to, you do your best, but sometimes it's just not a good fit. And if it's not a good fit, the sooner that everyone finds out, the better for everyone.
True.
Yeah, and I can just tell you the personal view of that. If I find somebody, I sponsor it. Now, we have others to do training and all that.
Yeah.
But I try to be there as their go-to person for them to come to and ask about Rotary and Rotary things.
Mm-hmm.
And support them if they're having a problem with the club. But that, again, that's a personal viewpoint.
Well, I mean, I see there's clearly an advantage to that. They have an identified person who they can go to if they have questions or problems or whatever, and they need more information. I guess it's taking it to the next step to sort of getting the larger club, or at least the membership committee, to embrace the person and support them.
Mm-hmm. Okay, what are 3 things we're coming up with?
Well, I think that Jessica's comment about an inventory of skills and interests is certainly very helpful early in the process. That's one.
The informal, the social setting, and then the service projects. Those would be the 3.
Sure.
So,
All right, is everybody back? Let's see, we're getting back shortly. Okay, here's what we want to do. Almost back, or almost over back. All right, we'll start with my group 1. And Suzanne's going to be was our scribe, and so she's going to talk. And Suzanne, I just want, and what we're going to just rotate. So Suzanne, give us just one thing that we thought would be useful as far as an activity that can realistically meet the expectations of our group. And our group that we chose was potential members. Suzanne asked for that because her club hasn't even formed yet. She's with Doreen. So they haven't even formed their club yet. So she said, can we do potential members? Sure. Okay, go ahead, Suzanne, give us one thing that we discussed, and then we'll come back to you in a little bit.
So the first thing we had was to invite current club members to bring prospective members to meetings. You know, invite them to join a meeting or potentially a few meetings so that they could try the club on and see that it's a good fit. And, you know, to remove obstacles if there were any, you know, costs involved, like a meal, that we would cover the cost of the meal for them or the anything.
Okay, thank you very much. Group 2.
Is that me or Kathy? I didn't
You.
look at the,
Kathy,
You, Dan.
It's you. I think it's you, Dan.
okay, it's me. We talked also about potential members. Steve, you want to start with what we found with you?
Yeah, well, one thing we talked about, Jessica's suggestion was to conduct an inventory. Well, let me put things in a better order. It was suggested by Nancy that we have informal initial meetings with prospective members, including the president and other current members, to allow both the prospective member and the club to kind of get to know each other a little bit and see whether there is an overlap in interests and goals.
Okay. Thanks a lot, Steve. All right. How about group 3? Give us one thing that you guys discussed that's different from what you've heard so far.
Suzanne is going to speak for us.
actually, it's
Well,
Laura.
Laura.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. So the biggest group where we have the most items was the what's in it for me, you know, getting them involved with the club activities that fit their interest, aware of what they want, focus them on them as guests instead of members, offer the leadership training, promote the business networking visits, vocational tours, and the opportunities to grow, Rotary action groups, service projects, friendship exchanges, yada, yada.
Okay, outstanding. Thank you a lot. Okay, back to group 1. Suzanne, what's the next thing that you have on your list?
So it was promoting the club as being welcoming to the groups of people that we're interested in attracting, and reinforcing that Rotarians are people of action. Kind of in conjunction with that, we were talking about, you know, if we're talking about past things we've done, that we make sure that we're following through on those, and that we have new things for those incoming members to get involved with. And part of that too is knowing, you know, asking them what projects they want to do.
Okay, thank you. Steve, what else you got?
Another idea was to conduct a sort of an inventory of skills and interests more formally, to allow prospective members to, or allow existing members to come forward and you know, establish relationships with prospective members based on shared interests.
Okay, thank you. And Laura, what else would you like to share?
Our next one was communicate, you know, be it electronically, phone calls, in person, doodle polls, but communicate, ask them what they're expecting, sit down, have lunch, do whatever it takes to keep the communication channels open both ways. And of course, always the listening when you're communicating.
Okay, thank you for that. Suzanne, back to you.
I guess just simply was making sure that the prospective members are clear on what the club's expectations of them are.
Okay. And we also did, and since we're running out of time, we also talked about mentorships, assigning mentors who, you know, to help out. Steve, anything else you wanted to add from your group?
Well, we also identified service projects as a good group.
Yeah.
Exciting new members about joining.
Yeah, it's great. It's outstanding if you can invite a new member to come and participate in a service project. What better way to get them to know your club? Laura, anything else you'd like to share when we're just about out of time?
Our last item was the mentor them, you know, get them to think about how they interact, sit down, how can you help them improve their life goals outside of Rotary as well as in.
All right. So the takeaway here, thank you all for your inputs, all good inputs. Yay. Congratulations. The thing is, think about, whoop, there's my timer. So think about all your new members, especially when it comes to new members, or even existing members, they all have expectations. Meeting those expectations is how we will break this this scheme we have of, you know, people leaving after, you know, within their first 3 years. So put that on pause. There we go. So keep that in mind. Remember, we need to know what our members' expectations are. We need to do the best job we can as a club to meet those expectations if we plan on growing. Growth is very important. Yes, Sunny.
Bruce, it just occurred to me that we haven't mentioned it wouldn't be a bad idea to keep checking in with people and make sure that what they expected is being met and that there's nothing missing for them.
Very good idea. Yeah, a mentor could do that, couldn't they?
Yes.
Absolutely. Okay, with that, we're done and we're ready for our next presentation.
Thank you, Bruce.
Great. Yeah. Thank you so much, Bruce. And great conversations there. Great ideas. So Tom Lindsay is going to take our next session then, making a difference. And what I hear repeatedly from our RLI sessions is that one of the reasons that we're Rotarians is because we want to make a difference. And so Tom's going to help us tie all of this together. And Tom, thanks so much for helping out today.
Well, I want to thank all of you for attending. It's a very great thing that we can gather this way on Zoom. We're looking forward now to being more in person over time. First, I'd like to say that no matter what people are saying, Dan Garrison does have a personality. And
a darn fine one too.
And I want to make a point that each of you in here are unique with your own unique personalities, your abilities, your leadership abilities, and your special talents and things you bring to Rotary. So number one, the training is not to change you. We want that uniqueness. Anyone that has served in Rotary knows that each president has a different personality. And gosh, as governors, we know we all have different personalities. Sometimes it's not too good to be in the same room even, but we still do work together with our personalities and try to accomplish things for Rotary. One of the things that you've encountered through this RLI is, number one, you have hundreds of ideas probably presented to you about different topics, about different things to do. Well, what the purpose is to give you a tool. You can't incorporate those entirely in yourself immediately, but what you can do is take an idea that you like, or if you're in a situation, you can look it up and say, well, this seems like a good process to do, and put it inside yourself and figure out how you're going to convey that. I used to work with people, and particularly some politicians, on writing speeches. Well, I'd say, if you wouldn't say that, don't say it when we're helping them put their thoughts out. And it goes for you too, to put something inside yourself so that when you do talk to your club or your committee or people in the community, that is from you. You can always pick something new to put in yourself. And that's the tool. Be yourself. That's so important. That's going to make Rotary grow, because that's why you're there. So you can take these thoughts and use them. You can't, organizational stuff that we went through, that's a lot of thoughts. But if you're having to organize something, go look at those notes and go look at it and give yourself some guidance. Recruiting new members, projects, foundation, and anyone can tell you that foundation has more than one page of rules. And so that's the time to take that and see how can you approach that issue or that problem. Even if you have a member problem, go back and look at things, and plus people have mentioned, talk to someone. All Rotarians are available for a conversation. Your district governor, you can call Rotary International and get help. They always respond. There's no hierarchy of, you have to talk to this person first or second. There's no question. The person you may talk to may say, I will get you to somebody that can help you. If I call Sunny with a problem, she may say, Tom, I'm going to send you to the assistant governor, or I'll get them to contact you, or whatever, that has expertise in that area. because no one has all the answers. But feel free to ask for help and advice. You don't have to follow it necessarily, but you certainly need to have a good basis. With that, we're coming toward the end of the session, obviously. Number one, I've been to lots of workshops where you get lots of ideas, from motivational workshops, and you come out with a list of 10 things to do or 20 things. And my experience is, if you have more than 1 or 2 things on your list, you're not going to do any of them. So pick out one thing. And this is what Rotary on insert number 2 does, MD2, my RLI personal action plan. It gives you an opportunity to take one idea that you heard, did, or something you want to do and expand on it. Thank you, Jeff. And how to do it. Smart objective. It makes you think it through. And that's the idea of a lot of things when you make a plan. It makes you look at things methodically. When you go to my Rotary as a club president or filling in the things for your club, part of that is to make you think about all those aspects of Rotary and look at them from your perspective as a leader. And that has as much benefit as actually what you write sometimes. I know when we had the goal writing for clubs, many times new club presidents had never heard of those areas of Rotary even. So it makes you look. This will make you look at one thing you want to do. And think about it. If you do one new thing every year, boy, in 10 years, that's a lot, you know? So that's a lot of growth. So pick something. I'm going to go around and I'm going to ask someone to help me because I'm not good at following these pictures. I want each of you to give me one thing that struck you through your training. And it can be the same thing. You can copy each other. It's not you don't do something different than the person in front of you, but we'd like to know as instructors or facilitators, what strikes you as one thing highlight that would stand out. And on my screen, I'm going to start with Suzanne. Great.
Thanks. Maybe I better ask a clarifying question first. When you say one thing, are you talking about a specific area of what we've learned, or maybe an approach in the training?
It can be an area, something you are going to take with you that you consider important. Area, item, doesn't matter.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. That helped immensely. So I think what really strikes me is, because we are just in the process of forming a new club, and we're going to have a whole bunch of, people coming together that haven't necessarily worked together. To me, the strategic planning section really is the overarching thing that we need to put in place before we start to get into too much detail, so that we have clear direction, and we have, we're all on the same page, right? As a board and as a new member, sorry, help me out here, Doreen. What's the word for the group of us that are starting the club?
Well, I don't know. We're all prospective Rotarians, I guess.
Yeah. No, but we had the 20 people.
Oh, the board, the governor. Yeah, the board. Yeah.
Yeah, the charter members, right?
Yeah, charter members. Yeah.
Yes, yeah. So that as we're starting out, we're all on the same page with a clear direction, and that also helps us not to take on too much initially and scare ourselves away.
Okay, I'm going to really strike Bruce. Tell me one thing.
I'm not a student. I mean, I'm not a participant.
We all are.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll tell you.
Dirty trick, huh?
Yeah, I was saying I'm just going to lay back here and listen to all this good stuff. Well, I've always liked the lessons that I do, but I've always been impressed with what Jeff does with with his lesson on strategic planning. That is, so many clubs don't do that, and even our own club. We did it when Jeff was the president of our club, and I followed him, and Doreen followed me, and we all built on that 3-year plan. You know, we all supported it. And that is so important. Yet I think not all clubs do that.
Great. Joe.
Well, I'm going to try to be more welcoming for new members and learn how we can help them become good members and make sure that we can keep our existing members energized and good participating members of the club.
Great. Randy?
I think as a public image chair for my my club, I like a lot of what Arturo's had to say. I take whatever information I can get that I'm like, oh, that's a great idea, and I run with it. So I like all the information I get from different clubs in different districts, and that'll help my club grow to be a stronger club.
Great. Christine?
Yeah, besides the strategic planning, which I find very helpful, I was actually most intrigued by, okay, our club started at last July 1st, started at 24 members. We lost one member because he moved out of town. And we're now up to 30 members. So we actually grew by 7 members and we started, with 24. So now we're up to 30. But after Bruce said that a lot of 50% of them leave within 3 years, I think one of the things I need to focus on as president is making sure that we are meeting the expectations of those new members so that we don't lose those 7 members in the coming year or 2 years, that we are able to maintain them. And so that is something I need to focus on. And I hadn't really realized that. And that was very helpful.
Good. Willis. Your mic's off.
My mouse didn't want to work to turn off. Hey, I was just looking at the rotary wheel, and it's got 24 gear or 24 teeth in it. Thank you. And then it's got 6 spokes in the wheel. But if you look real close in the wheel, there's a little key that keeps the shaft from slipping. And I kind of think of that as I'm the little key to help me as help my little world help the rotary wheel go around. And the thing I learned the most, I think, is from all of this training that there are so many things that Rotary is. So for me, it's hard to just pinpoint one thing, but I think the most important thing is we have to be a selfish key in that wheel to help the big wheel move forward and to mesh with all the other gears.
Okay. Kathy? Kathy?
Yes, sir. I think maybe the overriding picture that I get is just the wealth of information, that the wealth, actually not information, the wealth of resources that we have, and whether through Club Runner or Rotary International and my Rotary, but most of all, I think it's really people interacting with each other as we encourage each other and share ideas and inspire one another, and sometimes hold each other accountable to what we want to do, our big, hairy, audacious goals. And it's when we can accomplish things that we never even thought possible. So I'm just, again, thankful just to have been a part of this past year.
Okay, thank you. Deb?
I am really taking away from Doreen's presentation on the international service area. Because we're really working on 2 grants in that area, I am going to go to that website and to that page and just delve into it, maybe dream about it. So that's what I'm taking away.
Okay. Doreen?
Oh, gee. I think I couldn't say it better than Kathy Fuller just said it. That's what I'm grateful for every single day that I'm a Rotarian. And resources like this, it's wonderful to be a facilitator, but I come to this place expecting to learn more than I teach, and it never disappoints. So I'm just grateful to be a part of Rotary and to be a part of this community.
Great, Doreen. Laura?
Yeah, I don't know where I am on your screen. I found a lot of things very useful over this, but I've got to say, I found myself thinking while Jeff was speaking this morning, man, I wish I could have taken this part last August when I was at the beginning of my president year to give more tools. So I really, really liked the strategic planning, but I've got to say at the same time, I'm really happy I'm in this class with you all, because I think the one specific thing that I'm going to take away is what Christine brought up this morning, which was that we got to go back with our goals more than, a couple times a year and say, hey, we just met this goal and this was our goal. And do you remember these were our goals? Because I just think that is so smart and so good to do more than just the few member meetings that we have.
Great. Sunny, one thought.
So unfair. I love what everyone has said, and Kathy and Doreen said it profoundly. Because Rotary is so powerful and because it is like an onion and we can peel another layer off and learn more no matter how long we've been in our organization, because it's rich with fellowship and fun. Yes, fun, Jeff. I'm going to pick as my one thing for this next year, expanding RLI in terms of making sure we have even more graduates and some in-person as well as Zoom trainings. I'm your partner, Dan.
Right.
Uh-oh.
Did we?
Uh-oh.
Did everybody freeze?
I think they
No.
lost Tom.
You lost Tom.
Oh, there we go. Now he's back.
There we go. All right.
But it was me.
All right. No, me. Okay. Are you finished, Sunny?
I'm finished, sir.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bob.
The thing I take away is this is a leadership institute with emphasis on leadership. And there's so many aspects that we learned about leadership over these three sessions. And I think the big takeaway is that as a leader, we have to build a team and then empower and inspire that team to act in these different areas with one purpose in mind. Now, we can't do this ourselves. We have to build a team and inspire, empower them to actually accomplish all that we see. And in doing so, we really serve the community and the world in general.
Great. Jeff.
For me, it's what I get such a thrill about, other than just RLI in general, is when we're interacting with Rotaractors. And I'm so happy that the two groups are getting closer and that we can have Rotaractors like Jessica and Louisa and others participate. We're all in this together. And so I am thrilled that that Rotaract is part of this, and hopefully we'll have more in the future.
Great. Steve.
There we go. Well, I think I mentioned in the first session that I've only been in Rotary for several years, and I got to say that the more interactions I have with other Rotarians, in particular through these three sessions, the more impressed I am at what a wonderful group of people Rotarians are, and what a wonderful source of inspiration and help and ideas and guidance and just wonderful stuff. And I just look forward to continuing my relationship with with all of you and working together with you. Thank you.
Dan.
More than the presentations, I think what hits me each time we do the multi-district and things like this is how we depend on our basis for Rotary, our service, but also how much we need the diversity of how people approach, and even in membership. And I'm not speaking of racial or ethnic, I'm talking about ideas. You know, if we only bring in someone like us, then we're never going to grow. We're never going to reach out and do. And I see examples from this group that's what's happening. We are reaching out and sharing ideas and going from that. And I think that's a real positive for Rotary or any other organization.
Thank you, Dan. Jessica.
I was on mute. I'm sorry. I think I learned a lot about everything. Actually, I take many notes over here. I think one of the things that I would be really helpful would be strategy planning, because as new president for this year, I will say it's really helpful has a pre-planning, like what is the expectations, what is the students and members looking for, what the projects will be for the year, and also will be the goal. So I think will be one of the major things that I'm looking for. But actually, I think it's really important about talking about the building a strong club. It's like, I think one of the things that I will take with me is like all the members need to be welcome to the club, and if they feel welcome, they feel welcome to do looking for more opportunities, create more Rotary clubs, and also we will be more connecting for Rotarian. And I think will be one of the things that will take with me.
Thank you. Donna. Your mic's off.
How to turn my mic on. You know, prior to May 12th, when I said I wanted to become more involved with Rotary, and next thing I know, I'm president-elect, I had been trying to figure out, okay, how am I going to undo that mistake? And then I went to RLI. And what I've discovered is, after 43 years in the Salvation Army, RLI has taught me that coming to these 3 Saturdays of RLI, it's no different than sitting in 3 Saturdays of Salvation Army Officers' Councils. And I'm in love all over again with another international organizations that their goal is to change lives.
Great.
So suddenly, I can hardly wait to become more actively involved. And that started with now that I can go to our live meetings and be there in person to make a difference. That's what I learned. That is ongoing. Thank you.
Brad.
So Tom, I agree. You started off with, you go to these meetings and you have a whole long list of ideas, and then you can really effectively take 1 or 2 of those away. And I was dreading starting today because I already had 10 to 20 from each of the first 2 sessions. That just really solidified that it starts with the strategic plan. And when the strategic plan is in place, then you can take the 1 or 2 things that fits best for your group, but you're going to have the biggest impact for your group for the long term versus having a restart and a reset every year when a new president comes in, that you've got that shared goal and focus for the entire group that you can continue to work on. So strategic plan is the answer.
Great. Nancy?
I think with me this time around was the strategic planning, because we are talking about that on the board. And so it did seem a little daunting as a new board member. And today, how it got laid out and, you know, the different steps. So now when the board comes again and says, we're going to start doing this, I now have a better idea on how to prepare for it. Whereas a month ago, I just felt overwhelmed and I just kind of ducked out of it and just kind of been like, no, okay, well, I'll show up to whatever you all say, right? But this time I feel more able to be part of the pre-planning, and I feel like now I can actually give some positive input towards that goal that the club has that I just didn't feel I had last month. So thank you.
Great. Arturo.
Thank you. Well, one of the things that I always take out is how, and this was last year's theme, I believe, Rotary connects the world. Today we have Canada, Mexico, US together, and we have different districts, and we're all in it together. And it just, we're so close. And I think that's the main thing, is how we can have that, access to all the different things that Rotary brings to us. But I love what Donna mentioned. I think there was a movie that is called The 50 Dates, I believe, that, we have to have people fall in love every day, again and again. So we got to have that mindset in Rotary to have people fall in love with Rotary every day. So thank you all. It's great to be here, and thank you for the opportunity.
Okay, Randy? Your mic's off.
I already went.
You did?
Yeah.
Okay, who hasn't gone?
Hear from you again.
Nikki.
Nikki and you.
I didn't hear what the question was. I was off.
Oh, well, tell me
Jump
one
back
thing.
in.
We need one thing you'd get from RLI. One.
A takeaway.
Oh, one takeaway from RLI. Oh gosh, I've listened to a few of them here because I just got back on. I'm sorry, I had other things going on today. But I think probably the biggest thing that I've taken away from it over the years that I've been involved is just how much we learn from each other, and having an interactive session, and not just sitting back and listening, but being a participant. That they always say you get as much out of it as you put into it. And I find RLI really provides that opportunity. And so I think that that's probably the one takeaway that one of the reasons why I promote it so strongly is it's just, there's nothing like it in Rotary, nothing like RLI.
Okay. Now, who hasn't talked? My order switched on my screen. Everybody's talked?
Yep, except you.
Okay.
Except you.
Well, I just want to say, number one, I get from all this is all the years of training we have done and interaction between RLI and trainings. You have the joy of Rotary, the joy of working with members from all of our district. We're fortunate to have that ability. And from the Zoom trainings, it's been great to see the Rotarians that have turned out and make Rotary a lot of fun. It's a long time when you sit through these trainings. And so all of you have been great. As a past governor, I can never give back the joy that my wife and I received from traveling around our district with all our great Rotarians. So I know that we're ready to do great things, be good leaders, and take some of these ideas and do good stuff with them. Kathy and I have worked together for many years. She is fantastic. We appreciate all her efforts. She's always ready and willing to help. So Kathy, thank you so much.
Pleasure. Thank you. Thanks so much for tying this together then, Tom. What a great conversation again. Anyway, thank you. So Arturo, I'm so glad you mentioned this. Be sure to share your experience with other people in your club. That's Christine, that's how we had you today when Randy talked to you about what's happening today then with RLI, and Steve maybe with Deborah, and Carolyn snagging you and getting you involved. And that was really Renee Canton's dream, our RLI co-coordinator. And Renee's just in a bad, not in a bad, she's in a difficult, challenging situation with her life right now. And so I'm glad that I've been able to help work with her. But her dream for several years has been for every club to support at least one, preferably 2 members to participate in RLI, and the club would pay for their pay for the registration fee, which we've not had to have because of Zoom. But please go back, talk to your club members, and if each club represented here today or over the past year selected at least 1 person or 2 to participate in RLI, then you would have your hands full, and you'd be doing and continuing an awesome job there. So please go back and talk to your club members and your club officers and choose some folks to participate in RLI. So any other comments or questions or
We need
suggestions?
facilitators.
We need facilitators. We do. For Bruce and Jeff. Jeff, I just realized then earlier today that you're going to continue on as district trainer, and so it takes a lot of time, as you know, and a lot of commitment. And we've got some great facilitators, but we can sure use more, especially as we move to in-person training. And so help Governor Dan out with that, and Governor Bob as well, as they continue the good things that have been going on with RLI. So a good suggestion. Thanks, Jeff. What else? All right, if you want to go to your video and push and punch that little arrow, the little carol pointing upwards there, then, and you can all put on your own graduation hat, and we can have a most amazing graduation ceremony here. Yes, because we have, I already forgot count, even though I have enough fingers and toes here then, but we have 7 people graduating from District 5520, and we have 5 graduates from District 5650. And Suzanne, we're going to be celebrating with you really soon when you get a chance to graduate. So Doreen, let us know when we can hang out with you and have a graduation ceremony, okay? Jeff, it's okay with you. I'm going to share screen, and thanks to Nikki, we've got a certificate here then for our District 5650 folks then. Can you all see that?
Yeah.
Okay, so thank you, Nikki. But Heartland, Nikki, would you like to read it? Why don't you? Because this is your grand moment here.
Okay, Heartland USA Division of Rotary Leadership Institute and Rotary District 5650 present the certificate of graduation in recognition of completing parts 1, 2, and 3 to the Rotary Leadership course of study in Rotary Knowledge and Leadership Skills 2. Brad Roderson, Lincoln Giving Spirits Rotary Club. Randy D, Norfolk Rotary Club. Joe Mangiamelli, Bellevue Papillion Rotary Club. Donna Miller, the Council Bluffs Noon Rotary Club, and Deb Sepich, the Omaha West Rotary Club.
Yay.
So thank you. I want to thank
Ooh, yeah, where's the kazoo? We need that then. All right, so congratulations.
Thank you for your dedication to being a part of Rotary Leadership Institute. And Rotary is going to be a better place because of your support.
That's very well said, Nikki. Thank you. And then next we have our graduates here from the Rotary Leadership Institute in recognition of successful completion. You know what, Sunny? Why don't you read these, okay? Can you receive it? Okay.
I can. The Rotary Leadership Institute in recognition of successful completion of the RLI 3-part series. Nancy Casas, am I saying that right, Nancy?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, good. Laura Gonzalez, Steve Stouse, Willis Charmer, and Jessica Chacon. Saving the best for last again.
Yay.
Congratulations to everyone.
Congratulations.
Not a small deal at all.
All right, I'm going to stop sharing.
Nikki's right. Rotary will be better.
Yeah,
sure. For your having completed this, and for what you will take out into the world.
Everybody smile so we can take the graduation picture. 2. Awesome, thank you.
Oh, great. Well, I think we even get a bonus because we're done a little bit early today then. So don't party it too hard today, all right? You got to watch out still for that Mercury and I forgot all the rest of it then. So, thanks, Laura. So any final words of wisdom?
I'd like to make a comment. I really respect all the graduates and the work that they've done to complete this from both districts.
Yes.
And I think it's just amazing. We hope that you'll continue to be active in Rotary. But I also really want to take the time to thank District 5520 for welcoming us to their online sessions and be part of their family. It's only with this option that we've been able to keep Rotary leadership going in our district, and we so appreciate it. And I want to thank you again, Kathy, Jeff, for your never-ending work, and Arturo for always being there, and of course Sunny, and the district governors. And who's the next one coming up? Bob. Yes. We just really appreciate you letting us be part of your family. Thank you.
Awesome.
And I would like to say how much of a joy it's been to have you. You've made our experience richer as well, and we've expanded our family because you joined us. I think Rotary Leadership Institute has new life in the Big West, in all of our districts, and I think that we are going to do only greater things going forward. I have two more things to say, if I may, real quick. One of them is that Arturo was right. Rotary connects the world. Mark Maloney was right. Rotary connects the world. And I think it's worth mentioning that next year we will have a Rotary International Convention live in the United States for the last time in several years, probably, in Houston. And I invite us to get together there if we possibly can. Put it on your calendar right now. It starts on June 2nd. And the other thing I want to say is something I don't have the words to say, which is how much you are all appreciated. The facilitators, you participants, our indomitable Kathy Fuller, who has pulled us all together so many times with so much cheer and humor, and Jeff Weinrack, without whom none of this would ever be possible. We appreciate your leadership, all of you. Thank you.
Well said, Sunny. Thank you. All right. If there's not anything else, Rotary is served.
Thank you all.
See you next time down the road.
Nebraska, have a safe trip back.
Bye, everyone. Thanks.
Bye.
Goodbye, everyone.
Bye.
Hi, everyone. Thank you. Thank you, Kathy. I love the hat.
Thank you, Nancy. Go Cubs. Woo.
Thank you, everyone. This has been amazing.
We've loved having you, Donna.
We've had loved you, Donna. Yes.
And
we
should
have.
Zoom continue, I
Absolutely.
might be able to be talked into being a facilitator.
Ooh,
that's
there you
important.
go. There you
Just
go.
saying.
You'll
yeah.
hear from us.
All right. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
And Randy, thanks for getting Christine in. Okay.
All right.
Thank
right.
you all.
I can't end until people have like done their banter, because then
Right.
so
Right.
I think we're done with banter. Thank
Yep.
you.
Yep. All right. Adios.